We have a competitor to Neuralink, did you see?
No way.
So he's
Okay.
just hired a top neurological researcher, Mikhail Shapiro. He's an award-winning biomolecular engineer. He basically pioneered this way of looking at cells with ultrasound. I'm guessing that's something like the Apple Watch, where it kind of bounces off, I don't know, more accurate, something like that. So Altman has hired him to, he thinks there is a way, a non-invasive way to read brain activity with ultrasound. So this, whilst Neuralink actually drills into your skull and puts stuff in there, this is just completely using ultrasound. So really interesting advancement. I don't think they've actually done it yet, but Altman has hired him, and I sort of felt like this went a little bit under the radar a little bit, because this is amazing. Like, it's really interesting, and we'll get into some of the other stuff that OpenAI have been doing, but this just did not get any airtime from anyone. So yeah, and I thought because you love the Neuralink.
Yeah, but like prior to Elon going crazy, I would say just drill a hole in my skull and install
Yeah.
install this. For people who don't know, I'm not sure if people know Neuralink. Have you seen the Neuralink, the famous monkey video? The famous, very old video now, 4 years ago. And just in short, this monkey learns how to use a joystick to play a game, and then they obviously they are monitoring his brain activities. And later on in the video, you see that they deattach the joystick, and he's just thinking and moving his muscles, and they are like basically controlling the computer by this monkey just thinking about controlling the cursor. He's not physically controlling it. So this is very important to understand. And this was 4 years ago. Today, this has been installed on human brain, and actually, like, there are people who can type on their smartphone faster than any other human can type on a smartphone, just by thinking, without like just a normal iPhone with a Neuralink attached to their head. Now, that comes with a big caveat, and it's mentioned in this video by Cold Fusion very well. I really recommend this video, and I think we will add this also to the description. You should watch it. So there are a lot of companies doing what Neuralink is doing. Neuralink was like a pioneer, or at least they were really good at marketing themselves in that way. And the issue with Neuralink is that you have to drill the skull, like literally put a hole, and then add like micro needles. These are very small, tiny wires that literally penetrate your brain tissue. They're inside of your brain tissue. And that way they can read and write. That's very important. They can read what you are like trying to do. That's not like for everything. They can't read what you are thinking. But for example, if you want to move your hand, these wires in your head, they pick up that you want to move your hand, and it reads it. And not just that, they can also write to it, meaning that if you are blind, I believe there are like even it's not just theory. They've been like implementing this in some level of success. That like there are cameras, maybe not as high quality as these cameras, but there are cameras that can capture the environment, and then they send a signal to the patient's brain, and in your brain you would see what the camera is seeing. And theoretically in the future we'll be able to have like ultra vision or whatever, zooming and night vision and everything, just by attaching these devices to your head. And this has been something that Neuralink has been very good at, but now a lot of companies, a lot of competitors are coming up with, as you said, like other ways without penetrating the skull, without like drilling a hole. Other companies are trying to just have a device that can read without needing surgery. And Neuralink itself has a lot of issues because it's not very stable, apparently. So it works for a few months and then it stops working, or these needles, some of them stop working. So the read speed and the amount that you can do with it decreases sharply over like a very short period of time. Still, all of that being said, this is very early, but it is very exciting. It's in the first stage, it's great for people with disabilities, but soon it will be for practically everybody, right? You would be able to control, communicate potentially, and with AI, it's just getting more wild, and it's
Mm.
it's it's very fascinating.
So with the OpenAI version, so it's a kind of comment because it's hard to believe that the one that literally is putting needles in someone's brain is sort of failing, or not failing, but you know what I mean. It stops working, and then you've got OpenAI who's saying they can do it through ultrasound, which is like,
Yeah,
you think that the thing that going right into the brain is going to work. So one part to the OpenAI one is that it's a gene manipulation thing as well. So basically, it won't be that well, I mean, you can, but the step one of the journey of using this system is that you start to change your genes so that they respond to ultrasound. So your cells
yeah,
respond to ultrasound, and that will go into your brain, and then that's how you control it. It's kind of like wireless charging
yeah,
for smartphones or whatever. It's sort of like you're putting the technology in the blood, in the tissue, in the matter, and then using a device to then control and manipulate or read and write and stuff like that. So again, all very, very, very interesting. This is part of a larger conversation on my show, Command AI, which we stream live every single week. We discuss the news and all things related to AI in the world of design and web. Catch us next week and join in the banter.